Thank you, guys. Okay, let me just switch over here to the other software. It's really great to be back in London. I had an amazing time last year, and it was really cool to do the Four-Eyed Monsters case study up until what we had done at that point. And we put together a video about that case study. Susan Bice, my co-director, was with me, and that's available up on powertothepixel.com. So I'm not gonna go too much into Four-Eyed Monsters because you can go check that out. I'm mainly gonna go into, let's see, hopefully, there it is. Wow, look at that. It's gotten a little corrupted there. Okay. But I will just give a brief overview of a couple simple Four-Eyed Monsters points. So many of the things that have been talked about today have made me think a little bit about our experience. One of the things that I should share is that we did make a pretty decent amount of money showing the film for free online to follow up Jamie's presentation. Our model was to invite people to come and join a website that was sponsoring us. So we got $1 for every film that joined that site and made $50,000 showing our film for free on YouTube. But I'll say right now, we're totally open to this idea of a torrential release, which Mike brought up and was echoed by Jamie. So sign us up for Disco. We're all about that. That sounds great. And one of the things that has always been just sort of like it seemed right to do was to share information that we learned along the way. So one of the first things Four-Eyed Monsters did when we were building our audiences, we made a video podcast right at the time that you could make video podcasts that would come to iTunes and work on your iPod and all that. So the first thing we did is we posted a tutorial about that, and IndieWire picked it up, and a lot of other publications picked it up. And I learned right then how a lot of the traffic coming into what I was going to be creating could come from my efforts making educational content. So when I started my own website, arincrumley.com, I continue to share this type of information through filmmaking resources bookmarks, which is on my website on my bookmarks tab, and tech notes on any video that I post. I describe the camera that I used, the editing software that I used, any kind of web publishing services that I may have used for the video, and then also a virtual film school category on my blog, which is sometimes I'll just be interested in something that would be helpful to somebody that's just learning filmmaking online, so I put it in that category. And then the new category that Lance just introduced, which is From Here to Awesome, which definitely I'll emphasize again, everyone, if you are blogging about this kind of stuff anyways, you should definitely create a category on your blog, and that way we can have one master RSS feed where we can all be continuing this discussion, because the first two presentations this morning really pointed out that we're in a lot of trouble. This is a big mess, a big licensing mess, a big distribution mess, a big production mess, a big exhibition mess, and I think that the people to solve it are the creatives. If we let technology companies solve it, we will see what was brought up earlier as this like honey bowl idea, that you sell off the honey bowl, and that honey bowl could have actually had your film rights inside of it, and now that's been sold to some other company, and that happens all the time. And if we let old media try and solve this, well, we know exactly what they're going to do. But if the creatives band together and we solve these problems together, then we stand a really good chance. And that, to me, is why I partnered with Lance and Mike Belmont to co-found From Here to Awesome, because we really think that it's about putting everybody who has the same agenda into the same space to solve these problems and move forward. And that's with From Here to Awesome, we've been able to get a bunch of partners on board who want this to work, who want standardized metadata for films, who want universal licenses for distributing content, because this will help their companies. And then also filmmakers who want to be able to have a platform to really autonomously release their content, not in such a way that they have to sign over rights for multiple years or any of this unnecessary stuff. And DIY Days has been so educational to me. You know, the effort was to share some of the knowledge that we had learned and to invite other filmmakers to come and do so as well. But we just got done doing 4 events in New York, Boston, LA, and San Francisco, and every single one was emotional even. It's like it was so intense to be like, this is it, this is the movement, it's starting right now, we're all coming together, we're comparing notes, we're doing case studies, and we're teaching each other, and we're making, we put on all these free events, anyone could come, and we stream them live on the internet for free. And Power to the Pixel, in my mind, is the kind of the capper, the final, like, this is a really, a year ago, this really impacted my own direction and where I wanted to go next. And really, I see that as a really big milestone where we're at right now. And so what I've been doing in the follow-up to Four-Eyed Monsters is creating a new film called As the Dust Settles. And we just got done shooting at the end of August out at Burning Man in the middle of the desert. And I'm going to go into a lot of detail about that project in the project forum launch, which is tomorrow evening. So I'll be showing a trailer, which will be the first publicly seen footage from that film. But now I'm going to keep it kind of general and just talk about what I've been thinking about in terms of some of the new filmmaking techniques that I've been really interested in lately. One is mixed media. This is something we explored a little bit in Four-Eyed Monsters because we had webcams intercut with footage that was shot carefully lit, trying to have a film look, and then animation. And we're doing the same thing on As the Dust Settles, mixing even more mediums. We've shot on the Red camera in 4K, on small little handheld HD cameras, on forehead cameras that record whatever the person experienced while they were out there, and some animation in addition to that. Subjective. This is, I think, another really interesting filmmaking tool because, there's this idea that documentaries should be objective and they should just kind of be more like God, the way God looks at filmmaking. But what I'm really interested in is actually subjective filmmaking, and that's something else we did with Four-Eyed Monsters, where it was me and my co-director, Susan Bice. It was a film about our perspectives of each other. It was just about our relationship, and there's no historical accuracy that's of any relevance. So I think that with this kind of genre of, I guess, auto documentation, it's totally okay, in my opinion, to be very subjective. And in fact, I would go as far as to say it's actually impossible to really truly be objective. And being that that's the case, my filmmaking that I'm interested in is mainly towards the subjective realm. Participatory. One of the things we did with Four-Eyed Monsters, we showed a clip last year of a mashup of everybody's video that they sent in response to the film. And that was kind of like the first taste of collaborating with the audience, like them shooting stuff, us editing it, and really kind of completing the circle of that dialogue. And at this point, from this point forward, every project that I'm conceiving into the future is a participatory project, because I just feel like if it's not, it's just too one-directional, and it's just like, it's basically me just up here talking, without any kind of opportunity for questions and interchange. And then the other thing that Lance has been a big inspiration for me for is this idea of a project universe. What he did with Hope is Missing and all of the ARG stuff around head trauma really got me thinking that you can really be creative far beyond just the idea of you're making a movie. And at first I was thinking, well, okay, with Four-Eyed Monsters we did additional content. We did this video podcast. And that, I think, is part of this idea of a project universe. But now with the explosion of social networking, it just seems like it's even huger than that. And so I love all these ideas of trying to categorize what are the different components of a project universe, and how can a creative project be synthesized into these different mediums. And I also love what was brought up earlier, the idea that that you're creating content for different devices too. And so that kind of, I think, can help navigate, what to fill in the project universe with. And then obviously just this idea that it is a two-way conversation. And I think that that's why we story tell, because one human being is walking around having experiences, and another human being doesn't really know what the other person's experiences are. But if they can exchange that, then the person can be more enlightened and more inspired in their own life in some way. So it totally makes sense to tell friends stories and tell them about things that happened to us. And I think that what's going on in art is just a more crafty way of doing the same thing. And with filmmaking and technology now, there's just like the sky's the limit in terms of what kind of stories you could tell and relate to other human beings. And the value from that is also just completely, undefinable. Which is why I like the idea of giving it away for free, because you almost really can't even quantify the value of some of these projects. So I've been studying a lot lately about how technology can empower these new creative processes. And I always have to look for new tools that are coming out. A lot of times I'm hacking tools that exist for one purpose, trying to use them for another purpose. And I'm constantly also designing new tools. I'm sitting around writing notes on the airplane over here. I was like, okay, so what are all the different applications and pieces of software that I wish existed? So I've been compiling a list of that stuff because there are some things missing. But there are several things that are very impressive that already exist. The Red camera, after having shot in the desert for 1 week using 3 of these cameras, I can say I'm a huge fan. I love the Red camera. And any camera that comes along to follow up, including the D90 and other cameras that allow you to shoot on a large CC digital receptor is great, because it allows you to use better lenses that give you pretty much verbatim the film quality of bending light and the film quality of focusing images. And so to me, this represents a huge shift away from flat video and into very artistic, very cinematic, beautiful digital video. So video, it's completely okay. I mean, there should be no dispute over that anymore. Like shooting on Red, they actually they tested 4K to make sure that it's really enough resolution to be the same resolution as film. And they got down to the microscopic level to determine how much emulsion could be affected in film, and they determined that 4K digital is of the same quality as film in terms of resolution. Here's two of our camera guys out at Burning Man. The other thing that's been huge is the cheapness of hard drives. If you're shooting 4K and you're shooting digital and you're not using tapes, you need lots of hard drives. 1 terabyte drives are down to $180 US. Not sure the price out here, but I'm sure it's comparable. The portability of filmmaking has also been hugely inspiring. This is an audio recorder that we used 4 of these out at Burning Man to actually just put around people's necks, because everyone's wearing crazy costumes. You can really get away with anything out there. So we use that to record dialogue, so everyone could be just relating to each other naturally, and getting really good lavalier quality audio, but it just records on an SD card and it's just sitting right there. This can also be used with the Red camera to just put it in your pocket and have a boom pole and shoot audio, as well as on little small cameras. We've been using them for interviews and stuff like that. You have to sync the audio up later, which is a pain, but it works. We had 6 of these cameras out at Burning Man. It's been great to have HD in your hand. I was running around with a little flip video camera for a while that YouTube gave me, actually. Thanks for that. But I decided at a certain point that if I'm going to have a video recorder on me at all times, which I might as well, it should be HD. And I've been very, very impressed with the quality that we can get out of these. We're going to be showing some clips tomorrow during our project forum presentation. This is another really cool thing I've been experimenting with. You can install cameras into anything. This is a PV500. It's a small little device you can put in your shirt pocket. We made these headbands that had head cameras inside of them. And you can record on a 16 gig hard drive for 10 hours. And you can get battery packs that support that as well. So this is Susan Bice. She's also part of As the Dust Settles. And there's her head cam right there, and that little button. And Catherine McGaffigan, there's her head cam. Josh Steinbauer, there's his head cam. There's me. And there's my little head cam inside of actually a bolt. And the AntiTX one. So the other thing that's been very interesting to me is collaborative editing. I've spent a lot of my life sitting in a cave with a computer editing video. And so I love the idea of inviting other people into that process. And there are some ways of doing that. One is online editing sites, and there's been a few that have come and gone. None of them have really impressed me because they're just, they're not really real. They're like Flash plugins with drag and drop that don't really allow you to do the things you'd want to do. The other is local server networks, and that's really great if you're a production company. You can just get servers, and everybody on the network can have access to the shared files, and you're good to go. Final Cut Pro server works pretty well in that kind of environment. But that doesn't appeal to me because I don't like the idea of saying, like, this is a production company where it's stuck in this space. You know, you got to come in every single day and work there. I like the idea of being more flexible and mobile. So what, the other option is shipping hard drives, and that's what we've been doing. And so how we're sharing our edits for this film As the Dust Settles is that everybody who was participating in the project out there, about 12 people, is going to cut together their own segment. And everyone has access to each other's footage. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mash up all the segments into one actual film. So in order to empower this, we had to take all the footage that's in all these different resolutions and put them in one common codec. And what we chose was Photo JPEG 288p. I'm not totally happy with that because it requires rendering in Final Cut, but it more or less works and seems to be the best thing out there at the moment. We've been duplicating and mailing master hard drives, or sometimes just passing them off to somebody. And then we've been using a new service that's actually partnered with us called Dropio, and they're giving us free bandwidth. They're a really cool web tool to just be able to have a Dropbox for digital files. And so we can all see each other's Final Cut Pro project files. And then also in the project files, we have different bins that sort of categorize the footage. Like, here's all the footage that this person's in. So if you're a segment editor, you can go and find footage either on yourself or somebody else and kind of construct your timeline around that. So this is kind of our hack of what's out there right now, that this will work for this project, but there really needs to be a lot more technology, and there are some things emerging. Raw video metadata getting stored online. This is going to be a huge solution once it's figured out how to do that properly. Remote drive sync peer-to-peer software. We're talking about peer-to-peer distribution for finished movies. What about peer-to-peer distribution for raw materials? The ability to be able to take a hard drive and say, this hard drive should be in sync with these other hard drives. And it doesn't matter if they're in another country. Licensing for raw footage, obvious benefits to that. Transfer metadata to Final Master. There's this talk of universal licenses, universal metadata, and it's very important, obviously, to take the metadata that you do have from the field and have it go through the editing process and make it to the Final Master. So that's something hopefully that will emerge. And then open source social networking software. I mean, obviously with the data portability stuff that Lance presented, there is this need to not be stuck in Facebook or stuck in MySpace or stuck anywhere, really. It should all be open source in terms of people's social networking needs. But then there's also production benefits to that, where you could tag somebody who's in a piece of footage and through their open source social network, be able to pull up other information about them. So in terms of building a project universe, there could be huge benefits there as well for open source social networking. And projects at this point, I think, can make money in a few different ways. Content delivery fee, that's been sort of naysayed today. Then the other one is information delivery fee. A few people were even complaining about that. That's the idea of putting a Burger King logo up there. And then there's this other idea of selling slates at the intro of the film that potentially could retain their value. And that kind of could compare media art to fine art, and that maybe somebody buys a piece and sells it later on the theoretical art market. And then the final thing I'll end on here is how can crew be compensated? And this was mentioned earlier too, this idea that the only way to support yourself making movies is to make more movies. There's really nothing wrong with that model unless it just doesn't even work to that degree. So I would love it to be possible for people who work on movies and work on music and work on any kind of artistic endeavor that the world finds valuable. I would love it if it was possible for those people to sustain themselves and not go into credit card debt or not have to do any of these ridiculous things. So there's a new site that's just been conceived recently, and it's going to start getting programmed and be available soon, called theorganism.org. And we're using it to basically pay the members that are contributing and collaborating on As the Dust Settles. And the plan is to eventually roll out more films that are produced in an environment that basically has a very advanced royalty system, so that if you work on either a small piece of animation for a film, or you show up on crew at one particular day, or you help with the promotions or distribution, you can actually share a stake in the film. And this could be actual money, or it could be alternate value exchange systems. And with the economies in most countries tanking at the moment, I think it's really important to look at what is out there in terms of alternative value exchange. Because we have assets, we have equipment, we have talent. Just because we don't have the money doesn't mean we can't make the films. We just need some way to move around this value. So with that, thank you guys very much.